What's up, Compete Training Academy family? Welcome to the Compete Mentality Podcast. The mission of the Compete Mentality Podcast is to motivate, educate, and inspire others to compete. No matter what area of life you are in, we are all called to compete. Our definition of competing is doing what God is calling you to do, even when it's hard. This episode of the Compete Mentality Podcast is sponsored by the Lewis Jackson and Jordan Ducks Basketball School. Be looking for details coming here soon on our social media avenues. It is now my pleasure to introduce my two great friends, Eric Gaff and Tyler Leighton. Guys, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
For sure.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and really this podcast, so we've had on the Compete Mentality, we've had both of these guys on here, but never all three of us. And we've been friends. I was telling Courtney last night, it was probably like 2011, I think, where Tyler, who I credit, I give Tyler the credit to really the foundation of my player development in everything I've learned in player development. I give Tyler the credit. He taught me everything I know. And so I remember in like 2011, Eric, who was playing in Australia at the time, had come home from overseas and kind of like a head coach, kind of looking at the assistant coach saying, hey, let's roll. I remember Tyler, I think he just needed a workout in that day. And he looked at me and he's like, hey man, you're putting me and Gaff through a workout today. And he's like, this dude plays professionally. And I remember being like I think I was a junior in college. So this is 10 years ago. And he's like, you put us through a workout, make us get better. So I think that's where I met Eric up in Hilltop Gymnasium at Valpo University, if I'm correct. Does that sound right, Eric?
Yeah, I believe that's the first time I met you just a few years ago now. Gee, Christmas. Yeah, exactly. How old did we get?
We're getting old. But yeah, no, it's so kind of comes full circle. We have this group text called Basketball Minds, and I don't know why I'm in there. I'm just kind of they just kind of added me in, I think. But Eric and Tyler are the Basketball Minds, no doubt, and we were just so I obviously I'm a full-time trainer, CEO of Compete Training Academy. Eric is the head coach at South Bend St. Joe High School men's program up in South Bend. And Tyler is an aspiring professional agent. He's wrapping up a few courses here next week, actually. And it is the agent. We've all played at a high level in college. Eric and Tyler both had careers overseas. And I had an invitation to play in Ireland overseas, but didn't go. And really, we're just chatting in this Basketball Minds group message. And so with a couple of the players that I'm training, a couple of the players that Eric is coaching, and with Tyler becoming an agent, we were all like, man, we need to get a high-level workout together. And we just kind of made it happen up in South Bend last night, where we had some really, really good players that Courtney and we went up there and we put them through a pro prep workout is what we called it, with Eric and Tyler there. And so we thought it'd be really cool to give our audience here kind of a bird's eye view of what happened, and really just to give you guys Eric and Tyler's thoughts from ex-professionals perspective, and to kind of dive in. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty of hoops that we love to talk about, me, Tyler, and Eric, man, and this happens for hoopers, man. Like, if you want to bond with hoopers, like, go get a sweat on, then go eat afterwards together. And I promise you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna grow with that person. And I remember after that Hilltop workout, Like, that's just what hoopers do. Like, we went in there, I put you guys through a workout, went back to the crib, showered up, and went to B-dubs. And we, chat life and hoops for 2 hours, right? So, like, B-dubs and Valpo. So, I want to hear from you guys. We always start off with a question about food on this podcast just because we're big foodies. And tell me a new restaurant that you found in your area that's just absolutely money.
Well, I got one in my neighborhood in Chicago. It's a very small little restaurant. There's only like maybe 4 tables in the place to sit down and eat. It's a Thai place called Ben's Noodles, and they have the best shrimp or chicken pad thai egg rolls. And I've probably been eating it once a week for like the last month. It's just that good. I've had pad thai from a few places, and this is just a little hole in the wall spot, and I haven't had any better yet. So I'll have to keep exploring and see if I can find something better somewhere.
That's high level, Tyler. That's high level. Eric, well, how about you, man?
You guys may or may not know this, but I'm a massive food lover. So me and my girl, we try, not so much during COVID, but we try somewhere new, once or twice a month. And we got to just try. About a month ago, we tried Fatbird here in South Bend. Shout out Fatbird if you want to sponsor me, 100%. I'm in. I don't think they do that. But it's like a chicken spot. Man, they got Nashville chicken. They've got some Southern style food. So they have like, red bean and rice. And they have a good drinks menu for the adults, which is really good. And then their restaurant's just beautiful, man. Like the way they designed it. It's in a real old building here in downtown South Bend. So next time we're all up here together again, I'll be taking you guys there for sure.
Man, absolutely. I can't wait for that. I think we'll be back up next weekend. How's that sound?
I'll reserve a table right now.
I love it. And for me, I'm just going to give a couple shout outs just where we've been going recently. For all you local listeners in our Compete Training Academy family, I'll be honest, I think I hit the Sweetser Cafe 4, maybe 5 times this week. So this is like your local diner here in Sweetser, Indiana, where Courtney grew up, and amazing breakfast. And I went there 3 times for breakfast and 1 time for lunch. And my breakfast sandwich that I get there all the time, so I get cinnamon raisin toast. Then I get a couple fried eggs, some cheddar cheese, some bacon, and it's just like that. I'm a big sweet savory guy, so that cinnamon toast is like sweet. It's kind of like a glorified McGriddle, honestly. So it's like that sweet savory, and man, that's been fire. And then there's this place, a little coffee shop called Midwest Coffee that's in Marion. And Courtney and I, we've been hitting that coffee shop for different types of coffees here for, man, about that mid-afternoon, right after lunch, right before training. I got to swing by, get a couple cups of Joe or a chai tea or something like that. They got great chai tea. I don't know any of you chai tea lovers out there, but it's kind of a foo-foo drink. Eric probably, with that manly beard, and Tyler with his manly beard, I know they drink like straight up black coffee. But I'm the chai tea guy. So once I get a manly beard like that, I'll be able to drink probably black coffee like you guys.
You know what? I'll throw myself under the bus. There's a coffee spot up here called Zen Cafe, and it's called a Cafe Miel. It's got honey in it, and when they first told me like honey in our coffee, I was like, you know what? I don't know if I can go here anymore.
Oh yeah, no, we got this Midwest. It's honey, it's cinnamon, it's espresso.
Yeah,
little milk in there. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
That's like my go-to during like prep period. Like, man, I'm not gonna make it today.
Yeah.
block from the school, man, I run down, grab one.
I like it. I like it. So, guys, I kind of want to dive in to our workout that happened last night and really just kind of chop it up about player development specifically. And we had, like I said, a really high-level workout because of the players that we had. We had Lewis Jackson, who played at Purdue and has played in the NBA G League and overseas. He actually got the start on guarding Steph Curry and held him to 13 points, kind of his claim to fame. We had Travion Cruz, who was an NAI All-American. I think he averaged around 25 points per game this past year. Had an unbelievable season and career at Bethel. Then we had Grant Smith, who was a former Indiana All-Star, played at IWU for 2 years, and then he has transferred to Indiana Tech, just a high-level athlete. And then we had Blake Wesley from South Bend Riley, and we had J.R. Kadesny from South Bend St. Joe, who are both seniors and both will be playing for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish next year, who unbelievable players. And then we had JR's little brother, Chase, who's an 8th grader, and he's a baller, man, for an 8th grader. He hung with us. So we're going to dive into talking about all these players and the workout. And really, guys, Courtney and I are truly blessed to have your friendship with you guys and respect your knowledge of the game. And so really, I just want to kind of open it up by just saying, give us your thoughts on the workout last night.
I guess I'll go. I just love the energy that you and Courtney brought from, first of all, just from how welcoming everybody was, just coming into the gym and everybody introducing themselves to each other and that type of thing. It was like a very friendly atmosphere, but also you can just kind of feel that the hunger and the competitive energy and drive that everybody shared and had. But I like how you guys structured the workout, starting even from the opening warm-ups, how you dynamically got everybody moving, and then kind of got right into a bunch of different game type moves and game type shots, and it kind of worked out perfectly. You had three players on each basket, and I think you did a good job of splitting them up skill wise before getting into the competitive stuff at the end. But I really like the different game movements. Everybody had, got a lot of reps in, 1 ball per person. I really liked the structure. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. So just to keep, for you listeners, we had Lewis, Travion, and JR in a group, and we had Grant, Blake, and Chase in a group. And really, Grant and Blake built very similarly, similar game for sure. So, yeah. How about your thoughts, Eric?
I texted you last night. I said it was very professional. I love the professionalism you guys showed, your entire staff. Yeah, that was great to see. I love the pace at which you guys go at. Guys didn't get a chance to really get too rested. They're keeping their heart rate up. They're keeping that, by the time they were done, the last 20 minutes of practice, you could tell that they were, in that fourth quarter or the end of the second half kind of, and you could see the shots started to get a little short and all that stuff. So I love that pace. And then as a coach, you just don't have the time. We practice anywhere from like an hour and 30 up to maybe 2 hours and a little over at the max. And so we don't have the time to do all those drills that you guys got in, but definitely going to steal a few of those and try and sneak them in here and there to kind of help our guys next season and through this summer. So loved it. It was a good learning experience for me. And you could tell everyone on the floor got better. And that's, I think, the ultimate thing as a coach. You want to see his guys getting better. And that's what we got to see last night.
Well, I appreciate that. And kind of our philosophy, just like Tyler put it into words, he said, we want to go game pace, game speed, getting game shots. And really that's basketball is not reinventing the wheel. So you aspiring trainers, really last night was a workout. We'll put this public sometime, this workout, that you guys can check out our stuff. And I truly believe, like, I'll share anything with anybody about what we do, because it's not a secret. Because we say all the time, mindset's greater than skill set, and you can get drills anywhere. I mean, I get a lot of my drills just watching film, watching NBA players, watching college players and teams. And I create my drills based off what players do in a game, because that's what's really going to happen. And so that's kind of our philosophy in regards to training. And so it was a great workout. It was from 5:30 p.m. to 7 o'clock. And you could definitely tell that's our goal, Eric, is to, put them in a position where they're not only going to get better, but they're going to push themselves physically. And I kept gauging all the guys from 5:30 to 7. As a trainer, I feel like you got to gauge them, like, as we're going, okay, when's it time to move on? When's it time to move to the live play, and make sure that, we're playing hard, we're getting the most out of this workout, but we're not going to overdo it and, get somebody injured or whatever. So I want to hear from your guys' thoughts. When we went live, what were some of the special moments in the 1-on-1 and the 3-on-3? What were some of the things that stood out to you from some of the players?
Well, I think it was, for me, being an older in the group here, older guy, and then seeing Lewis, was the oldest guy out there.
Lou, I know
using his intelligence.
You're the OG, brother.
Yeah, and no disrespect, man. I've been there before. So, using his intelligence to make great defensive plays, using his intelligence to get good shots or get his teammates great shots, and then doing like the small things that as a coach you're like, man, that's, we want to see our guys like going and talking to guys. The highlight for me, though, wasn't actually on the court. It was afterwards. And the 3-on-3 finished with contested wasn't a foul moment.
Yeah.
And if I'm a high school coach, I'm saying, hey, man, that's a foul. If I'm a collegiate coach, I'm saying that's good defense. If I'm a pro, I'm saying, like, hey, you need to figure out how to hold on to the ball a little bit better. And so with, Lewis talking to, I think it was Wesley, talking to him and explaining to him, like, hey, man, you're about to go to that next level. That's not a foul. Like, this is what the game changed to. And seeing Wesley, take that on board, learn, and get better as a player, and kind of that passing the torch, right? Passing information on to the next generation of elite basketball players. So that was probably my highlight.
Yeah, man, that was really special. And, man, that's why I love training Lewis, is that he's just he loves giving back and sharing his – I call him Yoda all the time. When he's training with other players, I'm like, hey Yoda, what do you got to say, man? Like, give us your wisdom. And he always has something wise to say. But yeah, it was evident. I mean, in seeing just how mature of a player he was. We had some young players in there last night, very talented players, but just seeing his understanding of the game was really special. And I thought it was really cool, like you said, when him and Blake were getting into that moment. And Blake was, receiving that from, from Lou in a way that he got better, in a way that, it made an impact on his game. And so I thought, yeah, you're right, man. That was really cool. How about you, Ty?
There are a couple of things that stood out to me. I think the first thing that stood out was the competitive nature of all the players that were in the workout. It was this healthy hunger to get better. We had a wide array of players there in terms of age and kind of ability level, from incoming freshmen who was going to be really good, but, incoming freshman high school, all the way up into, to a player in his early 30s who's played professionally, and we've had, we have had 2 high school seniors going on to play high major college, and a player who's a junior in college, a player who's finishing his college career. So we had an array of players, but everybody fit in well because of this hunger and this desire to get better. It was a healthy, positive environment. Like, guys were going at each other, not holding back, but not in a, like a demonstrative way, just in a way of, I'm coming at you because I'm getting better and I'm going to, get you better too. So that was really fun. And the other thing that stood out to me really was just with JR and Blake, like their length, it's pretty obvious why they're going to the level that they are. Just what they were able to do, especially in those one-on-one games, how they were able to bother the other players, and some of the other players who, are really good players in their own right in high school or college, kind of struggle to get off makeable shots because of going against some of that length. And, some of that stuff just is what it is. And I think that some of the players that were going against them have to learn to get better at creating their own shots, whether it's, being able to separate themselves and create some space, whether it's step backs or hesitations, different things like that. But just that competitive nature of the workout. And then, the various ability levels and the length that was on display was really fun to see.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It was definitely cool to see the high level talent that we had, and they were all at different parts of their careers, all the way from a kid who's going to be an incoming freshman that's going to be Chase Knesny. We're going to hear about that kid for a lot of years, from 2 high school seniors that are playing in Notre Dame that, you look at them, they're the prototypical NBA body. That's what an NBA player, as far as height and length, that's what an NBA player looks like. And they're going to grow into their bodies. They're going to mature. They're going to develop strength. And I can't wait to see Blake Wesley and JR, what they're going to do at Notre Dame. The Irish are in good hands for the next 4 years or however long they're there. And then also Trevion is, a bucket. When he got going. And then from Lewis, an OG vet who's been around the block in the professionals and also at Purdue. So, yeah, you're right, Ty. And I want to address a couple questions that we've all talked about. But first, I want to hear from you guys, specific drill-wise. What were some drills that stood out to you?
I like the Ray Allen shooting drill. So coming off that curl screen and then backpedaling and getting your feet set, I think is really important. A lot of our young players don't do a great job of getting their feet set.
Right.
And then I like the Celtic shooting drill, just because it drives players to the brink, right? Mentally and physically. You can see that mental wear and tear as they, miss a shot and then miss 2 shots, and then all of a sudden they're going, oh God. So that was great. And the 2 teaching points that you got to wave with your face on the screen. And, so I think the 2 teaching points you use, hand placement, having your hands up. And then the second one, your feet, where you talk about getting your feet set or getting that inside foot ready to roll. And those 2 drills and those 2 talking points, like I wrote down in my notebook, and I'm like, I got to make sure I hit that, come Tuesday at our spring workouts.
For sure. Yeah, I love both those drills. And just to kind of recap those 2 drills, the Ray Allen drill, where you're coming off, you're starting on the block, you're coming off a curl. And our point of emphasis is when you catch that ball, you got to have ready hands. And you can't dip into your shot. We call it actually twisting into your shot, where your shot is one motion. And many times we see players that have, a 2 motion shot or even a 3 motion shot, where you know, we really, at the college level and at the professional level, the best players, they got one motion to their shot. Their hands are ready. They catch it, and they're going straight up into their motion, straight up into their shooting. And so that was the Ray Allen drill. And like you said, backpedaling and having your feet ready to shoot the three. And then the Celtic shooting, this is 5 spots. You got to hit 2 in a row from 5 spots. And again, focusing on, you know, catching with ready hands, going straight up into your shot, not having 2 or 3 motions in your shot. And I think we saw last night, I mean, a couple of the players had some great form, but then there were some that, you know, had 2 to 3 motions in their shot, all talented players. But man, if we can correct that, they're going to be really special. So, yeah, how about you, Ty? What were some drills that stood out to you?
Well, more than the drills, the 2 things that came to my mind from the workout last night, one was we were talking about not dipping. So when you kept emphasizing that point over and over again, what makes me think of is you want players to catch the ball shot ready at their lowest point, so they're going straight up. And as a player, that's what kept coming into my mind, because you want them to be efficient players. Right. So I was thinking about that, you know, as you're trying to train or teach or instruct players, like that is so important to catch it low so you're not going down and back up. And all the different coming off of curls and flares and different actions that you put the guys through, those things have to be there. And watching some of these players are high-level players, but still the fundamentals are the same. Like if they're not landing with their feet underneath them, and they're not holding their follow-through, and they're not, you know, catching it at their lowest point and going straight up, then just by a little bit, that's all it takes for a shot to be off. And some of these guys, and you'd come over to me and look at your notes, or come over and grab a quick drink, and, you know, I'd throw a quick comment at you with a certain player, because that's what was happening. And then, you know, soon enough, the player would correct it, and then they'd make 3 or 4 or 5 in a row. So that stood out to me. I liked how you started the workout by having all the guys to the basket and finish at the rim, and then how you had some stuff where they're curling around, like more closer 10, 15-foot elbow jumpers. And then they're working their way out. So maybe where they hit a curl, then they hit the flare. So they're starting in close, getting rhythm, getting confidence, and then you built them back out, you know, so then they're shooting with range, you know, when after they've made quite a few shots, and they're, you know, they're loose, they're warmed up, and their confidence is flowing. So I liked how you structured it.
Absolutely. And I want to kind of dive into that and kind of break down the workout. And in our group chat, you guys sent a few questions that I got a couple questions that you guys were asking me after the workout that I want to address for our audience, for our hoopers, for our trainers and coaches that are listening to this. And also, if you guys got more, feel free to shoot them. And like I said, guys, like, I am not claiming to be the expert here, and actually credit Tyler, who's my assistant coach in college, to the really the foundation of my player development knowledge. And then also Eric was the first professional I really put through a workout. And Eric has played more years professionally. How many years professionally have you played? 12? Is that right?
10.
10. Okay. Let's play a whole decade professionally. And really, I want to dive in more to what all that looks like here. Eric texted me a question of, how do you get high-level players to show up and break down drills? So many times, not necessarily even last night, but like, you know, sometimes you see high-level players just walking through drills and going at a lower speed than they're capable of doing. And how do you kind of motivate those high-level players? And I thought about that today, and there's a couple ways. First, I would encourage you coaches that you're coaching a high-level player, coach them like everybody else. Like, for example, like, I mean, I'm training Lewis Jackson, high-level player, played at that NBA G League level, played high major basketball at Purdue. And so this is actually a funny podcast too, because we're all on daddy daycare here, watching our kids. So we're going to get through this, but as far as motivating high level players, treat them like everybody else. Because it truly, as a coach, like, you don't want to work with somebody that doesn't want to be coached. Like, they ain't worth your time. Then the ones that don't want to be coached, that's just a waste of time. You don't need them in your life. That's just a stressor. You want the guys that want to come to you and work. And so I would say that first off, like Lou Jack, he comes every single day ready to work, ready to be coached. And I love that about him. And then also, like, surrounding those high-level players with other high-level players. Like, a lot of guys, like, you know, when they see another dog coming in the gym, they're like, all right, like, I'm about to show this guy up. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I've seen that a lot of times with high-level players of, you know, when other high-level players are in the gym, like, they want to show that, hey, I can hoop. So I think that's another way. But also just knowing your values as a trainer, as a coach, and just accountability, holding that player to, and not sacrificing. I think I was able to see, you know, Greg Tonigal and Matt Painter at Purdue, coach some of the highest level of players that I've been around, and they're holding them to the same thing, holding them to the same accountability as anybody else on the team. You know what I'm saying? So really just don't sacrifice that accountability. Does that answer your question, Eric?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I watched last night, and you get to see all the different levels, right?
Right.
We talked about already. Kids going up into major D1, right? Going into ACC. We got a guy that's played pro. We got a guy that's just graduating, playing at Bethel, who's looking to go overseas. And we got a kid in college still. And then we got our young gun that's coming to St. Joe as a freshman.
Yep.
And you watch the guys go. And I think there's like 2 or 3 that I think were constantly switched on. As I watched them, like, those guys are just going.
Yeah.
And I think the rest have that on-off. And
yeah,
I look at it like, man, I got to get all my guys to be ready to go all the time. So how can I get them going 100% at 100%? I know it's not possible because we're human, but
no, for sure.
You know,
but I think, and like you're talking about, and I got to experience that at Purdue University, where Coach Payne, like, Purdue's mantra is play hard. Like, that is what you're going to do all the time, no matter what. You know, 80% of the practice, we're focused on defense and rebounding, right? So, like, just playing hard. And so, yeah, you just got to, as a coach, as a trainer, like, you got to know what you want and what your values are. And then, like, you can't budge. And so that's your culture you're developing, right? And that's Matt Painter's culture that he wants. It's different in every program, and there's different cultures that win championships, and you can do it a lot of different ways. But for example, with Purdue, like, that's what Coach Payne wants, and that's what he's going to hold. He's going to hold all his players accountable to their effort, no matter what. And so that's why you see guys like, you know, Grady Eifert, who was on that Elite Eight team that was a walk-on, who's getting rewarded at the end of his career being a starter on an Elite Eight team that was one shot from going to the Final Four. So, yeah, that's a great question. I want to move on to the second question that was in our group chat that said, how do y'all build workouts? So how do we build our workouts for players? And that's a philosophy that we have at Compete Training Academy, that we call it holistic training, and that a hooper is a hooper. So what that means is, so I actually got this talking to Bo Ryan at Bo Ryan camp up in Wisconsin, where you see 7-footers bombing threes, you see point guards posting up in the swing offense, right? But, like, even if you look at, like, the best players, you look at the MJs, you look at the Kobes, you know, they can post you up, they can take you off the bounce, they can shoot the three, Like that's what a hooper truly is. And I feel like that's our job as trainers, is to prepare you for any situation that you're going to face on the court. And so like, I don't care if you're 7 foot, I don't care if you're 5'7", we're going to be teaching you different skill sets, adding tools in your toolbox, from finishing at the rim, post moves, mid-range, shooting off the catch, shooting off the bounce, catch and shoot threes, shooting threes off the dribble, pick and roll work. Like obviously it can be a little tailored to the position, right? But primarily we're going to do all that stuff. And so the way we tailor and, build our workouts is from the rim out is kind of how we start. So I feel like it's really important to understand how a hooper gets loose and warmed up. And like last night you saw Courtney put the players through 10 minutes of a dynamic warm up where they're doing stretches, they're doing some ball handling, all just to get loose and warmed up. And then we started out with some high ball screen action, and we're finishing at the rim. And we had some of those guys hanging on rims. We had some of those guys finishing at the rim. But every one of those guys, whether we had, Lewis at 5'9" to, JR, who's 6'9", they're all finished high ball screen, finish at the rim. So, and then we moved out. So then we're doing, rips from the wing, mellow spin move, finishing, at the rim to mid-range. And then, we're doing catch and shoot from mid-range. We're doing off the bounce in mid-range. We're doing pick and roll work. And then we're doing our 3-point work where we're shooting off the catch. We're shooting off the dribble. And so that's, as you can hear, the way we progressed this workout was from the rim out, and you're making sure each player is hitting every facet of the game, kind of like I said, where you're able to say, hey, I prepared this player for any situation. And so you're hitting your curls, you're hitting your flares, you're hitting away screens, ball screens, just putting players in situations that they're going to be in a game. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, sorry, buddy. Jordan, I'd like you to share with everyone our conversation after the workout about ball handling. I think some of those things, your philosophy on that would be really great for people to hear, your philosophy in terms of how you structure the workouts and what you do and don't do, in ball handling, what your expectations are for players to get out of the workout with ball handling, and what your expectations are for them to do on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I actually credit this philosophy to Joey Burton. He's a great trainer down in Indianapolis, great friend of mine, has mentored me in a lot of ways. And I've hit him up and said, hey, Joey, can I come watch some workouts just so I can learn from you? And he's been gracious enough to let me come and watch. He trains a lot of NBA guys. And so he actually has this philosophy of, we're going to get our ball handling in our live game situations that we're doing in drill work. So we're not going to have like a ball handling segment. So like I see a lot of trainers that have a ball handling, and even myself, probably for like 8 years, where the first 10 minutes I'm focused on a ball handling segment. So what that means, like, you're doing your 1 ball, your 2 ball, your tennis ball catches, different things like that. Where Joey, I went to his workout, and I saw him training some NBA players, and there was no ball handling. And I said, well, what do you do for ball handling for your players? And he said, you're going to get that ball handling in your skill work. Like you're dribbling, coming off a ball screen, off the catch, different things like that. But, as a trainer, your job is to add value and add tools to their toolbox, right? Your job is to not make them sweat. Like anybody can make them sweat. Anybody can put them through workouts that make them sweat. I mean, but your job, what's going to separate you as a trainer is if you're adding value and tools to their toolbox. So we have a saying that at CTA that good scorers are hard dribblers. And so like you've never seen somebody who can score that rock that is just out there dribbling lackadaisically, right? So that's a philosophical thing for us. So really in our lower levels, like, kindergarten to second, third, fourth grade, we're doing, some ball handling segments where we're developing that foundation. But really with the older levels, we're not starting off doing ball handling. Yeah, we really believe in putting our players in situations that they're going to be in a game. You're not juggling 6 cones and basketballs and, doing all these gimmicks where all that it can be good, right? But that you can do that on your own. That's our time needs to be spent adding value to your game, not just making you sweat. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's putting the players through the game actions. And that was what was cool with the structure of the workout is it was awesome to see all the different types of game actions. And, you talked about already is that, basketball training and development is not, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's going to be actions that are very similar or the same, regardless of what type of offense,
right,
or plays or sets or continuity, whatever, the team that you're coaching or playing for decides to do. A lot of the stuff is very similar. And so, you were able to structure the workout last night. So, all the players were hitting these core foundational actions that they're going to get in game situations. And then they were able to go and get into that live. So I thought that was, it was fun to watch.
Absolutely. Eric, do you have any thoughts there? Or?
Sorry, I've been, for all you guys who want to get in the field, this is my life, taking notes. So I've been writing a lot. Which, off topic, Coach Johnson, who's retired now, he's been in the game. He's been on your podcast, been in the game a long time. We rode together. We talked. I drove him home, and we talked the whole way about the workout, things we saw that we liked, and we're like, man, maybe we should have been doing that this past year. And, how do you incorporate that next year? And how are you going to organize your practices? Because, that drill he did, that took then 5 minutes to get through. That's 5 minutes out of your practice, a minute set up, minute tear down. Okay. And so that's where my head's at right now is I'm going, okay, next year or this summer, how am I taking what I'm learning right now and putting it in there? I like the idea of, you're getting your ball handling in drills. I think it runs on Sam's like, oh, Johnny Wooden, we don't run sprints. We get our exercise or we get our conditioning in drills and in playing. So that's another thing I think is a nice little nugget of information for myself. Other people, you can do your own thing, but I'm just a really good thief and I'm out here stealing stuff. So
no, that's what the best coaches do. And everything, right? I mean, everything we do at CTA is stolen from some great coach or great program. I mean, that's basketball. We're not reinventing the wheel. Everyone's done something that we've done before, right? That we're doing currently right now. So, yeah. And I like the point you said about you and Coach Johnson talking about, man, how's our practices looking? I did a podcast in November, I believe, with Coach Weiniger from Fishers High School. They're a 4A school. They should be top 5 going into next year. And I thought it was pretty cool that he develops and puts 45 minutes into his practice every day for player development. So like your individual workout. And that was like the most time I've ever heard allotted to that workout. And I went and watched him play, or watched him coach, and watched his players one game, and man, they're very skilled, very talented, and it showed that pays off. And so for same with when I was at Purdue and Indiana Wesleyan, Coach Paint, Coach Tonigal, they're getting maybe not 45 minutes, but there is a segment of 15 to 20 of post perimeter breakdown where they're doing skill development in your players. And so coaches, like, don't forsake the player development that needs to be in your practice. And it can't be everything as well. And I get it. You guys are trying to win games. You're trying to scheme. And maybe it's having an assistant coach, or that's something us at CTA would love to do, is program that for your team where, you're seeing at the high majors, you're seeing a full-time coach dedicated to player development. That's what Ryan Lightfoot does at Grand Canyon University. There's different coaches all over the country in that player development role where that's their job, to develop the players, get times with them outside of practice to get their individual workouts in during season, and all times of the year where they're going to take their game to the next level. So the third question that was mentioned was, what's the plan to get Lewis Jackson game runs against elite players? And that's a great question. My philosophy when Lewis got here was to surround him with the best talent I could find. And so that's, again, why we drove up to South Bend last night, had him, we drove 2 hours for Lewis to get up there and play against some high-level competition. And so that's what we're going to do here at CTA is we're just trying to find the best players, see where and that way Lewis can gauge where he's at and play again. And that's where he's going to get better. We talked a lot last night. I talked with Doug Knesny, it'd be JR's dad, about Chase and how beneficial it was for him to play with these older guys. And that growing up, JR always played, a grade or two above of where he really was. And so like that's huge. And so that's, I truly believe that's where you're going to get better. And that's where, as a kid, you're like, man, I got to really play, because if I don't, I'm going to be embarrassed in front of these guys. Right. And so that'd be my encouragement to you hoopers. Like, always try to find those hoopers that are better than you. If you're the best player in the gym, like, go find another place to play. Like that can't happen. Like, you got to go find the best talent if you want to get better. And so that's what my plan is, to find Lewis opportunities where he's not the best player in the gym. Because when he's the best player in the gym, I mean, you can dominate, you can score, right? Like, that's cool, that's fun, right? But I mean, like, my goal is to always find opportunities for him. The City League down in Indianapolis, great league here this summer that I want to get Lou hooked up with, is a lot of pros and ex-college players. That's a great league I want to get him hooked up with, but also just kind of, like I said, recruiting top talent to come train with us. I'm kind of in the recruiting role of like a college coach who's recruiting players to come play for him. Like, same thing as a trainer. Like, I'm trying to recruit some high level players that want to come play against Lewis Jackson. Right. So yeah, that's kind of been my game plan, if that makes any sense at all to you, Eric.
It makes sense. We were sitting there talking, and we said, he looks good. And but you could tell there was that, it's not a knock, but there's that rust of not playing against, high-level guys that every player gets, whether it's the off season or you're, in between seasons, or, you're just working out. The game reps are what's so important, which is why I like that you did the 1-on-1 and the 3-on-3, because you got game reps into their workout, into their development. And you could see the rust start to break off in that, I think it was like a 10-minute span that they played, but in that 10 to 15-minute span, you saw guys getting back into the playing motions, back into that, mindset of like where they need to be on the floor, the spacing, the rebounding aspect, and the game reps. So we sat there and we're like, I wonder how they're going to get him so he's game ready when he does get the call to go play wherever it is he gets the opportunity to play.
Absolutely. So kind of as we kind of wrap up and close here, I got a couple of kiddos that are getting pretty wiggly around here. What do you guys have, any closing questions that we can open up really for each other kind of as we close?
My question for both of you in your, Jordan, as you're in your training role, Eric in your coaching role, what's in this season that we're in right now in the springtime, what are you doing, on a day-to-day basis? What are you guys, what are your main goals right now, in terms of coaching your team and player development, and how are you, working towards achieving your goals of success?
Yeah, I'll go first there. Really, our philosophy is holistic training, like I said. So depending on when a player comes and starts training with us, like for Lewis, Courtney was saying like how good he looked last night, and like Lewis went up and tried to dunk it. He's right there. He's 5'9", and I mean, he was flushing it in college, but he's 32 years old now. And Courtney was like, you haven't even hit your elasticity phase of your training yet. And so like, it's all phased out for Lewis to peak in the fall where he's going to be going overseas. So, I mean, we schedule Lou's workouts where, he's working out on the court, 5 to 6 days a week. He's working out in the gym with our strength coach 4 times a week. He's doing agility and recovery on his own. And so like, that's really what we believe a hooper is. And I got that philosophy from you, Tyler, where I was, playing at Purdue North Central and you're my assistant coach and you're like, you need to be doing this, 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 and this. And I've never had a coach tell me all that. And so like, that's kind of what I feel my job is to do for players, is be like, okay, this is what it takes to play at a high level. What are gaps in your game that we can fill at Compete Training Academy? Is it on the court? Is it in the weight room? Is it, speed and agility? What is it? So that's a little bit of our philosophy with players. Like when they come to us, we can be your one-stop shop, or we can just fill one part of those gaps of your game. But now in the springtime, like this is where the off season is where you really make your gains. Like a lot of times in season, you're trying to win games. You're trying to maintain, you're trying to, right now is where you can get bigger, stronger, faster. You can make those jumps, in gaining weight if you need to gain weight or lose weight or whatever it is for you. So right now, the off season is our favorite time of year where we can really see improvement. And people say, championships are always won in the off season. It's so true. So true.
Well, I'll take the other side of the coin. So as a coach, we're in our postseason, I guess, right now. Fortunate enough that we just finished 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, lost to semi-state. So successful season. I'm sure I'll be more happy with it in years to come. Right now, still a little frustrated we lost, but it is what it is. And so currently right now we work out twice a week. We get 4 hours a week with players. So we go Tuesdays and Thursdays. And right now our goal is that we're trying to build on the culture that's already there, strengthen it, and try and get it engraved in the kids that are younger. So we have 8th graders that are incoming to school. So we have them there. We have our freshmen who are moving up, JV, and then returning varsity. So there's the passing the torch, trying to get returning varsity players to take over that role of being leaders and setting an example for the younger guys, and then doing player development. Obviously, if you really want to fill in the gaps, that's something you got to do on your own. You got to go to a pro like, Jordan. Ain't going to be with us because we only get 4 hours. We can't go any more than 4 hours a week by the rules. And so we spend about 30 minutes to 40 minutes doing player development type drills. Then we spend 10 to 15 kind of ingraining what we want to run as an offense and what we want our defense to look like for next year. We do that through kind of drill work as well. And then we play for the last, 20 to 30 minutes or whatever, let the guys just get out and have fun and play. And try not to be too much of an overbearing coach because, season, like we don't play for our first game until, December 4th or whatever it is, December 1st. So it's a pretty long time away, but it's really hard as a coach not to like get in there and try and rip some kids apart, trying to get them better. But and then the clinical part, which is the fun side of it, where we're getting ready for summer camps. We're getting summer workouts set up. We're trying to find scrimmages to play. We're trying to see where we're going to take the team, and get new jerseys and all that fun stuff, which is just, not the fun side of it, but that's where we're at right now in St. Joe, and hopefully we're getting better day by day.
I love it. I got a question for both you, Eric and Tyler, that both of you guys have played professionally. What is something you wish you would have done more of? Kind of like if you could write a letter to yourself, hindsight's always 20/20. We got a lot of hoopers listening to this podcast who want to play professionally. Like, what are some things you wish you would have done in your professional career? They're like, man, I definitely should have done that. What was it? What would it be?
Two things that come to my mind. One thing, I think I didn't communicate enough with the team that I was with in China to try to work on my own player development when I was over there in the season. There's only so much time that they're going to allocate, for team practices. Like when I was there, like they would come and pick us up on team buses and take us to the gym for team practices and take us to the weight room for team lifts and workouts and things like that. But I really craved more individual time to get better. And I just wish I would have communicated to the team, organization that I played for, that I wanted that. I think I would have gotten it. So I think that, part of my letter would be that even players, when they're playing at the professional level, like be open and honest with your club, and use the in-season time to get better also. The other thing I think it's important is make sure that you're being represented by an agent that knows and cares for you personally. I think I made a mistake by signing with a really large agency that was in Europe and didn't really care too much, if they placed me or didn't. So I think those two things are things that I would have, wish I would have known coming out of college.
Those are good points. I think the one thing that I started doing more towards the end of my career, but by then I think it was probably too late. Spend more time doing like the prehab type stuff. So spending extra time doing, foam rolling, spending the time. When I was in Australia, you're fortunate, like everyone lives on the ocean, and just go get in the salt water, which is good for your joints and your muscles, and walking in the water and stretching. Started doing yoga throughout. Wish I would have done more of it, because kind of pay the price down the stretch now, where your body's a little bit beat up, and those bumps and bruises don't seem to go away as quick as they used to. So I wish I would have taken prehab more seriously. Like the encore stuff, I took very seriously. The strength conditioning, I took more and more seriously as each year progressed. But that prehab side of it, I never really took that seriously, because it's boring a lot of times to sit on a foam roller. It's boring to stretch, or it's boring to pay attention to the nutrition aspect of it. And so as I got older, all of a sudden you start going like, good God, my knees hurt now, my back's all hurt, my shoulders are jagged, my fingers hurt. You're like, and you look back and go, man, I could have taken care of that. Now you're going back and trying to rehab or prehab yourself back into at least, or I can still show some young kids what's up, but those days might be gone. The second thing I think is being more, you're a kid. Like, regardless, if you come out after your senior year in college, or you come out after your freshman year, you are a kid and you're walking into a grown-up business. And so being a little bit, more ready, which, how you do that, I would say talk to older guys more. Try and go, the people that are doing it, go talk to them and find out what they do. As far as like, what do you do with your money? If you're overseas, how are you going to get your money if you're paid in local currency what's the best way to get it back in USD, what to invest in or not to invest in, what are the pitfalls, and all those little things with the business side of it that I don't think too many kids coming out of college know. I know I didn't. And so you made a few mistakes down the stretch, where you aren't, paying attention to, the interest rates. You're not paying attention to the exchange rates or whatever it may be. So, take care of your body, learn all you can about your body, and then learn the business aspect of it so that you can take care of yourself. Because in the end, it's on you to be responsible for yourself, no matter where you are, where you're playing, coaching, or training.
Absolutely. Those are some great words of wisdom from two pros who did it at a very high level. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this time that you had with two fantastic players, coaches, trainers, and Compete Training Academy family. Always remember that competing is doing what God is calling you to do, even when it's hard.